Okay guys, it is time again to show you the Bant Humans deck tech for you. Let's have a jump right in and show you what we're playing. This deck was inspired by the deck that has just recently took down the World Championship. So let's jump right in. We're playing 2 Thalia's Lieutenant, which is a 2 casting 1/1 human soldier. And when it enters the battlefield, we put a +1/+1 counter on each other human we control. And whenever another human enters the battlefield under our control, we put a +1/+1 counter on this. So it's really good. It helps us pump up our other creatures, and when other humans come into the battlefield, it pumps up him. So it's pretty efficient. Nice little 2-drop. We're also playing 2 Knight of the White Orchid, which is a 2 casting 2/2 creature. We have first strike, which means that it hits first. And when a Knight of the Orchid enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than us, we may search our library for a Plains card and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle our library. So it's really good. We won't play this when we're slightly a bit behind, so we can catch up. We can go and find a Canopy Vista or a Priarie stream with this, or even just a basic Plains. It's really efficient to help us colour fix. It's really cool. That's a 2/2 for first strike, which is pretty decent in this sort of aggressive deck. We're also playing 2 Sylvan Advocate, which is a 2 casting 2/3 creature. It's not a human, but it's a very efficient card. It has vigilance, and as long as we control 6 or more lands, Sylvan Advocate and land creatures we control get +2/+2. So it's really good. Early game, mid game, it's fantastic. It's just a solid card all around. We're also playing 3 Duskwatch Recruiter, which is a 2 casting 2/2 creature. We can pay 3 mana to look at the top 3 cards of our library, and now we may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into our hand. Then we put the rest of the cards we didn't choose back on the bottom of the library. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, we transform it into Howler, which is a 3/3 werewolf, which means that our creature spells will cast 1 less mana to cast. And at the beginning of each spell, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, we transform it back. It's a very efficient card because we can, on the flip side, we can always dig for more creatures out of the deck. And on this side we can reduce our creature spells casting down, so it's pretty good. We're also playing 3 Lambolt Pacafist, which is a 2-drop 3/3 creature, and it can't attack unless we control a creature with power 4 or greater. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, we transform it into Lambolt Butcher, which is a 4/4 werewolf, and at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells, we transform it back over. Really good in this sort of deck. It's a good 3/3 blocker, and then when we get to a 4/4, or even when we don't play any spells, we can flip this over and it's a 4/4. So essentially it's a 2 mana 4/4, which is really sweet. We're also playing 2 Skyrider Elf, which is an X and 2 creature with flying. It does have 0/0, don't worry about it, it won't die. The Converge means that it will enter the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each colour of mana casted, so it will be a 2/2 to a 3/3. Most likely we want it to be a 3-drop 3/3, which is really sweet. We're also playing 2 Declaration In Stone, which is a 2 casting sorcery. We exile target creature and all other creatures with the same name as it, and then that player will investigate for each non-token creature exiled this way. I've talked a bunch about this card before. It's a really solid piece of removal, fantastic against tokens and great against difficult to remove creatures. We're also playing 3 Gather the Pact, which is a 2 casting sorcery card. Now we reveal the top 5 cards of our library. We may put a creature card from among them and into our hand, and we put the rest into our graveyard. Now when we have Spell Mastery, we can put 2 of those cards into our hand instead of the 1. To have Spell Mastery, we need 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in our graveyard. It's a very good card to help us dig through and get to more creatures. When we need it, we're playing a bunch of creatures, so we're always going to be able to take the best creature in any situation that we get from the top 5. And sometimes we can take the best 2 creatures, which is really cool. We're playing 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar, which is a 3 casting 3/2 legendary creature. It does have first strike, and it reads that creatures and non-basic lands our opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. So it's really good against other aggressive decks where we can have their stuff come into play tapped, and we can just swing and hopefully get through for the final bits of damage. And it's pretty hard to deal with. A 3/2 with first strike is pretty awesome. We're also playing 2 Bygone Bishop, which is a 3 casting creature, 2/3 creature, with flying, and whenever we cast a creature spell, with converted mana cost 3 or less, we get to investigate. Now to investigate, we put a colourless clue artifact token onto the battlefield with pay 2 mana, sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. Very, very good. This deck is full of 2 and 3 casting creatures. You know, it will always generate an investigate token, so we can dig into more answers, dig through our deck, and help us not lose any sort of momentum early on. It's a really, really solid card. We're also playing one Nissa Vastwood Seer, which is a 3 casting 2/2 legendary creature. When it enters the battlefield, we search the library for a basic forest card, reveal it and put it into our hand. And then when a land enters the battlefield, if it's our 7th land or more, then we get to exile Nissa and return to the battlefield transformed as Nissa Sage Animist, which is a planeswalker with 3 loyalty. We can gain a loyalty to reveal the top card of our library. If it's a land card, we put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into our hand. We can then -2 to create a 4/4 green elemental creature token and name the Shy of the Working World. And then -7 to have up to 6 target lands become 6/6 elemental creatures, which is really great. All 3 modes of this are really, really fantastic. The +1 is great to be able to excel ourselves and get ourselves ahead. The -2 is really, really good if we ever need a blocker. And the -7 just wins games there on the spot. It's fantastic. We're also playing 2 Tireless Tracker, which is a 3 casting 3/2 creature. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we investigate, and whenever we sacrifice a clue, we put a +1/+1 counter on Tireless Tracker. Absolutely fantastic little combo with Bygone Bishop and Tireless Tracker. Great little combination there to get this card to be such a big threat so quick. It's amazing. We're also playing 3 Reflector Mage, which is a 3 casting 2/3 creature. And when it enters the battlefield, we return to a creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That creature's owner can't cast spells with the same name as that creature until my next turn. So it's really good. It creates such a good tempo play. Very, very efficient for what it's doing for 3 mana. Great body. It's just an all-round solid card. I really do like Reflector Mage. It's probably one of my favourite cards in Oath of the Gatewatch. I'm also playing 1 Bounding Krasis, which is a 3 casting 3/3 creature with flash, which means that we cast the spell anytime we cast an instant. And when it enters the battlefield, we can tap or untap target creature. It's only here as a one-off, mainly as a bit of a situational play, and that's the reason why Bounding Krasis is in here. It's pretty situational, but it's very, very powerful when we do play it. We're also playing 2 Always Watching, which is a 3 casting enchantment. Non-token creatures we control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. So everything we just currently shown will have +1/+1 and vigilance, which is great. We can attack, we can block, and it makes it so much easier to have a good advantage over our opponent in that regard. Next up, we are playing 2 Collective Effort, which is a 3 casting sorcery. We can escalate it by tapping an untapped creature we control. So what we have to do is, when we tap a creature, we can choose another mode beyond the first. Now we choose 1 or more to destroy target creature with full power 4 or greater, destroy target enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. So we can pump all our creatures, we can destroy a big creature, and we can destroy an annoying enchantment if we need to. It's a really good card, and it's a nice little sweet replacement for a card that is not even in this game. So it's a pretty cool card. I do like a Collective Effort in this deck. We're also playing 1 Tamiyo Field Researcher, which is a 4 casting planeswalker with 4 loyalty. We can gain loyalty to have up to 2 target creatures. We'll gain that until our next turn. Whenever either of those creatures deals combat damage, we get to draw a card. And then -2 to tap up to 2 target non-land permanents. They don't tap during their control's next untap step, which is really, really good. And then -7 to draw 3 cards and get an emblem with. We may cast non-land cards in our hand without paying the mana cost. So it's really, really good. We can dominate the board by doing that. And we can always create card advantage by the +1 ability. The -2 ability is really, really good in certain situations as well. So I do really like Tamiya. It's really sweet. Lands this time around are going to be 6 plains, 1 island, 3 forest, 1 Lumbering Falls, which is a land that enters battlefield tapped. It can tap for a green or a blue. and then we pay 4 mana to make it into a 3/3 green and blue elemental creature with hexproof. Really cool, works well with the Sylvan Advocate. We're also playing 2 Canopy Vista, which is a land that comes into play tapped unless we control 2 or more basic lands, and it taps for a green or a white. Playing the Priarie Stream, 2 Priarie Stream, which is the same as Canopy Vista, just for blue and white. Playing 2 Hinterland Harbor, which is a land that wants to be battlefield tapped unless we control a forest or an island, and it taps for a green or blue. Playing 2 Glacial Fortress, which is the same card just for blue and white. And 2 Sunpetal Grove, which is the same card again, just for green and white. And then finally, we're playing for Evolving Wilds. So that is the green, blue, and white Bant humans deck tech for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to check out the deck, in gameplay, that is